There we go. Hey, good morning, everybody. Folks, Lester here. Let me remove that last comment. I want to thank y'all for being so kind already. Just wait. I know. Just wait. I'm kidding. I'm a wreck. I've been out working this morning already. You'll never guess with who. No, you'll never guess who I've been working with this morning. Let me take a minute to say hi to everybody first. I'm very blessed to have you guys following along this morning. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing, but you come here to hang out with me for a little bit on my weekly lunch with Longhorn Lester live. And I could not be more blessed, y'all. I don't deserve, I say it all the time. I'm the most undeserving person for your goodness and your kindness and your love. And thank you so very much for being gracious and accepting of me with all of my many flaws and faults. And I tell you what, not everyone can say that. We are so fast to criticize folks, and then I tell you, I'm just very blessed. I should probably stop talking now, but I am. Yeah, this is kind of reminds me of what happened last night with the State of the Union address. As soon as everything got kicked off and or started off, everything got started. It was kind of cute actually. And President Biden had heard all of the applause. He goes, "Okay, I should go ahead and just stop it right here. I should go ahead and just stop it right here. If I'm smart, I'd stop it right here." I thought that was the cutest and funniest thing, and that got a chuckle out of me. And so that's what I'm saying to you all. I should probably go ahead and stop right now. Everyone's being positive. There's a whole bunch of happy faces. No one has put a mean face on there yet. So I should just stop it right here and go about my day. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hang out with you all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. And if you just overlook some of the mess that's all over me, I'll tell you what, we are blessed in the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on today. We got rain in our forecast. And so, believe it or not, I was going to sit outside on the porch and do this live. And I actually might still walk back out there, but it had come a downpour about 10 minutes ago, a nice heavy rain, which is great. So, for the person who keeps saying that you're frozen, I don't think it's on my end. It's going to probably have to be on your end because no one else is saying anything. And so sometimes the internet can kind of jump around on you a little bit. But I have a great signal right here. There's no interference on my end. So I think that we're looking okay. How? Mm. So I want to show you all something funny. We had a memory pop up on Facebook a couple of days ago, and it was a memory about our sweet journey. So I went ahead and saved that memory, and I'll play it for you, not now, but at some point. But on the exact same day as that memory popped up, hold on a second. So Cynthia is screaming in all caps, "No politics, please." So Cindy, this is I'm Lester. Nice to meet you. I'm Lester, and this is my channel. And so we're not here to talk politics, but I will talk what's on my mind. And so I'm going to ask that we not argue and fight. So I've been very clear and I've been very careful, and I try not to mix and match. But what we're not going to do is start screaming and hollering to everybody about stuff. Sheesh is correct. A lot of people are saying sheesh. What I told you and how I started my live was how cute. I said how cute it was what happened last night with the State of the Union. And I said how cute it was because to me that was a cute moment. A little respect here, y'all. This is my house. Thank you for saying that. It is Lester's house. But listen, we get these memories on occasion that pop up. And unless, yeah, you're in Lester's kitchen. Thank you so much. That's a funny story, and I promise I get back to what I'm talking about. But my nanny, that's my dad's mama, used to always say, if you're in my house, you eat my cooking. And so whenever mom and dad would take us over to visit with Nanny and Pops, whatever Nanny cooked, that's what we ate. And so it's kind of the same principle holds true when it comes to social media. The page, and I'm very blessed to have a page, but this is my kitchen. It's my kitchen, and what I show you as far as the videos or the lives, or even when we're having a discussion, y'all, it's my cooking. I love to interact and talk back and forth. Now, there are some people who say that I'm quite the pot stirrer. There are people who accuse me of being a pot stirrer. I like to stir the pot. I like to stir the pot. And that's not my intention, but I do like good discussion. And that's the one thing that I think our country struggles the most with, is the fact that we're no longer able to communicate. And I will say this on a personal level, going back to my divorce with Lex's mom, if we were able to hold on to our ability to communicate, we would probably still be together today. But once you lose your ability to communicate with each other, then it's over. I will say that, and I would preach that to any couple. If I ever got asked to do a couples therapy or counseling for couples, I would remind them of that one simple fact, that you cannot lose your ability to communicate, because once you lose that, it's done. It's done. And I do believe that most people who've been through situations with relationship, I think that you would agree, once you're unable to communicate, once one party or both parties refuse to listen, it's over, y'all. There's no way to, you never go back. So I do think that we should learn to communicate better. What we don't like are folks who are unable to communicate effectively and just want to scream and holler and shout. We don't do that here. But let me show you the memory I was referring to and how cute this is. And ask yourself this question. See if you can find out or guess what year this was. All right. So let me go ahead and get a couple of numbers out there. The very first videos were from 2018, and they extend all the way through 2024. So yes, we are on our sixth year of doing videos, and we're very blessed to have had a platform and a voice with you all for that long. But I'm going to play you a video now and see if you can guess what year this was. You ready? Here it goes. There's a lot of hints and clues in the video. There's one. Begin. There's one. That's, no, he dropped it. Come on, dude. There's one. Oh, God. There's two. So check this out, folks. I just challenged Lee to a little bit of a battle here. So here's how it's going to go. In 1 minute, which of us can have these donkeys eat the most animal crackers? Okay, everyone has to just ignore Ringo for a minute. All right, so listen, there's going to be a 1 minute timer. So I will go first, if you'll take the camera. All right. Make sure you don't, if they bite my face off, you have to just stop filming immediately and call 911.
Just roll the footage. All right, go.
One, nope. There's one. Oh, God. There's two.
That's so funny.
There's three. There's four. There's five. Get on your closing scene. There's six. There's seven. There's eight.
Oh my gosh.
There's nine.
I'm gonna have a tough test ahead of me.
There's 10. There's 11. There's 12.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
13.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, that's it.
So a lot of folks are absolutely correct in your guesses. And if you did say 2019, you're correct. That was before we'd ever heard of the word coronavirus. That was a year or so before all of the mess that happened in 2020 with not only the shutdown, but all of the other mess that happened that year. And so that was when we were a very young channel. We were only a year old. Now, that's not to say that I was a young man. I was not a young man. I was already an old man. Ellie looked mighty young right there, though. And what a neat little memory to pop up. But that happened, what was that, 5 years ago? That was 5 year memory. That was a 5 year ago memory that popped up. And I love when Facebook will do that. You know, I was telling some folks, I think it was on my live yesterday where I went one of those random lives from the other property, that I've been enjoying it when these memories pop up because they remind you of a happier time. They do. They remind you of a simpler time. Not so much happier. I that was a poor word choice. I'm very happy now, but I'm a lot busier. Lester of today is a whole lot busier than Lester of 5 years ago. And I was still working then. So you might say, well, wait, if you were still working, then how are you so much busier now? If you guys can remember back, there was a time whenever we didn't do videos every single day. We did videos like other creators and would skip a day or so between them. And that gave you time on your day off. Once you never have a day off, on your day off is when you would, you get a lot of your videos made, a lot of your jobs done. And at that point, if you noticed, the barn was still a very new barn. And then that was the barn that Jamie and I had built ourselves. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it was a great barn. It was a fun place to be. And it was our first barn after the hurricane flood. Because as you remember, and as you can recall, we took the actual barn that survived the hurricane flood and I converted it into my home, my livable space. But that meant that our animals had no barn. And so we did build the barn there. And so it looks nothing today. That barn looks nothing today like it looked back 5 or 6 years ago. And everything has come so far, friends. It has come so far. But that was a very simple time. We did have all 6 of the donkeys there. Now, I think that Jenny, I'm trying to remember all of the names, and Forrest were the 2 donkeys you see there that are no longer with us. They didn't pass away. No, they went to go live with a really sweet lady who was also doing some farming and trying to start her little farm. And her name was Jen. I'm sorry, but I forgot the name of her farm. She had a name to her farm, and I completely forgot what it is. We haven't spoken in a while. She's finally stopped doing videos, and the only way that I kind of kept up with her was through her videos. But she stopped doing video creations. I think I haven't seen or heard from her in a while. I was wondering if someone over here may have seen it and can remember, but I don't see any new comments that remember her name. But no, so both of those donkeys went to live with her. But that was a lot of fun. That was before we had any horses. So obviously today, if you were, yeah, I know. So Barbara said, wow, this is powerful, Barbara. It seemed like just yesterday. Haven't y'all noticed that about life, how fast things seem to get going? And that does. I can remember, even before I saw the memory, I could remember that. Now, I'd forgotten the event, but once the memory popped up, I was like, oh my God, that seems like just yesterday. And how crazy is it that time goes by so fast? There's a lot of folks who remember the video. Thank you, Kim. Yes, time does fly, y'all. It certainly does fly. And then Kelly goes, I can't believe it's been so long since I started following you guys. Thank you, Kelly, for being around for that long. There's quite a few people who, believe it or not, who don't talk a whole lot in the comments, but they've been following for a very long time. Hey, let's play a game. Let's do that. If you're someone who almost never comments, you like to watch, but you never comment, could you just comment right now and say hi? Just comment and say hi, or say that's me, or I'm one of those people, or something that would be to let us know that you're one of those. I sometimes get emails. What's this over here say? Lester, please, I need to know how I can get to the CBD oil you give Ringo. Please. I have a pot-bellied pig with the same problem. She's 11 years old, and I don't want to have her. And I don't want to. I've had her since she was a baby. So, well, boom. Poor Ringo. He does very well on the CBD oil, but I am not going to be able to answer your question, ma'am, because I don't know where Jamie gets it from. And then don't forget, we've only had to order it once, but then the last 2 times it was delivered to us. Someone had gifted it to us. But you might could look it up on Amazon. It's called Golden Goat Pet CBD Oil. And even though it says Golden Goat, there on the label, you can see a cat and a dog. And we give it to Ringo. And so I'm certain it would help with whatever's going on with your pig. And I'm so sorry you're having a hard time right there. So back to the video, there were a lot of things that you
so I see that there's 3 been dropped.
So some of the things are the way the barn shape. If you can think back, this was the original shape of the barn. It was kind of in a U shape. We had it in a U, the letter U. And that meant we had stalls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We had created 9 separate stalls. You can see we have way too much hay in our stalls. We didn't know what the heck we were doing, y'all. We also had all the flags out and about. That's when we first started receiving flags from people. And we thought it would be so neat to display some of those flags that we've been gifted around the barn. If you saw Jake's little house and truck up in the distance, I'm going to try to back up and find it. There is Jake's house when it was still just a small post Hurricane Harvey structure that was built by Daniel and Kim, my sister Kim, and my brother Dan. We call him Uncle Dan. They both worked and built the little house for Jake to give him a place to live after the hurricane flood. That's his old truck, not his new truck. And so it's been a long time. Lester was a whole lot thinner. Look how small I was. I was a very thin guy, y'all. That was my ideal body weight back in those days. That's when I probably weighed about 190 pounds, which is what I should weigh for my height. And I tell you what, I don't weigh that anymore. I'm trying to read comments. Yeah, someone goes, Lester, you were an old skinny butt. I was an old skinny butt. Absolutely, y'all. So Nancy says, you look a lot better now. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that. But yeah, this was the old barn. LE, I don't think LE's changed at all, y'all. I don't think LE has changed at all. Look at him. Same hair. Oh, that's cute. There was Maggie. I see Maggie over here on the ground. That was really cute. But what a neat memory. And so a lot of people say, no, LE's not changed at all. He hasn't changed not one bit. So LE would have been 19 years old. And so that was around the year that most of you guys met him. Our hearts break for Ellie and Megan from this past week. They did have a setback with their goats. Everyone has probably already heard that Megan and Ellie did lose 2 goats to that darn coccidia, and it was unexpected. But we who've been doing this for a while, and many of you guys who work with goats, you already know about how, I don't know if the right word is volatile, but how easy it is to lose a goat. Goats and sheep, they have very little desire to live. If they ever get sick, you have to really work hard, and you got to find ways to keep them going, because they will not be able to work themselves through a sickness. Fragile might be a good word. That's not the word I was looking for, but they are quite fragile. So you know that when a goat gets sick and gets down, it'll pretty much walk over to the stall, or it'll find a wall and just kind of stare into the wall. And I don't know what that goat's doing. I don't know why he does that, but that goat will sometimes just sit there and stare at that wall and take its final breath and just lay down and pass. And since it is not the word either, is there a word called volatile? Isn't there a word called volatile that means you're easily harmed or easily, I don't know. But they had a couple of goats. I think most of their goats got caught the coccidia, which is a very strong and deadly parasite. We've been able to kick it several times. Vulnerable, maybe. That might be the word we could use. Vulnerable. So, but so volatile is a word popping up quite a bit. So maybe my word choice was correct. But goats are very prone to getting sick. And when they do get sick, you have to susceptible. Thank you, guys. You're really good. You have to really work hard to get them to kick it, because on their own, they're not going to. And so whenever Ellie and Megan realized that the goats were not filling themselves, it begins to show itself probably first in lack of appetite. They might even get the scours. And so at that point, you don't know if it's just a simple worming or deworming issue, or if it could be something more severe. And so it ended up to where Ellie took one of the goats in. When your goats get sick, you don't take all of the goats in. What one has is going to be pretty much what they all have. And so Ellie grabbed one of the goats, took it in, found out that it was in fact coccidia. And so the vet sent enough treatment for all of the babies. The unfortunate thing is those two goats in particular were just too far gone, and there was no way to save them. I haven't spoken to Ellie this morning, but I believe as of yesterday, all of the goats are pretty much back to normal. They did do a pasture rotation, which that's been something that's been in the works for a while. And now we're able to get our goats off of the infected pasture and move them back to a pasture that should be relatively clean and free of harmful parasites that live in the soil. And then, but it did break Megan. Ellie has been around a whole lot longer, and he knows that farm life is not an easy lifestyle, and that sometimes you do lose babies, some that you love. Well, you love them all, but sometimes you lose some that have a little bit different place in your heart. And so Ellie was able to take the loss and understand it's just a part of farm life. They were trying to be as vigilant as possible. Megan took it a lot harder, and I think that says a lot about Megan and her love for animals, especially the animals that she cares for now. Megan is more of a sensitive soul than what Ellie is. Ellie's been desensitized to loss, and so he had to be the man and step up and put his arms around Megan, which was just beautiful to watch. He also took the responsibility of taking the goats down to bury. And so all of those things have had to happen over at the sanctuary this week. But the hard part with them is not just losing those two goats, but those goats also had babies. And so now those baby goats have become orphaned. So Ellie and Megan have had to take on the role of bottle feeding, and everyone who knows baby goats know that's at least a 3-time-a-day job. Megan was really good about learning and how to get that bottle into that baby and get them to learn to bottle feed. And so the baby goats are going to be fine, guys. You don't have to worry about the baby goats. At this point, all of the barns have been disinfected. All of the pastures have been dusted. You call it dust. There's a special dust that you put down into the soil. And now that we're getting this rain today, that will help all of that stuff seep in and dissolve. And in a couple of months, we should have our pastures back to being healthy again. So, yeah, we absolutely mourned with Ellie and Megan the loss of those two fainting goats. Both of those were really sweet. And then, of course, now that their parents, the babies will grow up without having a mom. And I do think that there's 3 or 4. Guys, I'm so sorry. I don't keep up with the ins and outs of every particular animal at the sanctuary. I've tried to do the natural progression of things and allow Ellie and Megan more. Here I go, struggling for the right word again. But I want them to learn to take more ownership in what goes on around the sanctuary. And that means that me and Jamie have had to kind of take a step back and allow that to happen. Oh my goodness gracious, Lester, how old am I getting to be? Because there's a word that I'm looking for that has just autonomy. Thank you so much. I'm going to have someone come sit beside me, or I may need to get me one of those little headsets that people have. And when they find themselves struggling, I can just kind of like listen to my headset, like, and I'll sound really smart then. Yes, autonomy. I want Ellie and Megan to have the autonomy to make decisions for the sanctuary's well-being. And that is a blessing to me in the fact that Ellie and Megan are stepping into that role and they're able to make decisions. And ultimately, anyone that knows animals, and it doesn't matter if you have a cat or a dog or a goldfish or farm animals, you guys all know that loss is a part of life. Friends, if you don't already know that by now, then there's a rude awakening coming your way. It's the same with if you've lost a partner. You may have had the best of doctors. You may have had plenty of, the right insurance, but at some point, everything, that's a certainty about life, my friends. And so what I've tried to talk to you all about before is it's hard to get to love an animal or a person if in fact you know that it's inevitable and at some point you're going to lose them. But that's a sacrifice that we all make because we want love in our life so darn bad. We want love in our life so darn bad that I hope that there's not going to be any fighting over here. I'm trying not to even read the comments because I've learned that reading the comments can help me eliminate a couple of things off the page, but it can also get me into quite the funk. And if I'm in quite the funk, I don't really feel like sharing my joy if in fact there's people who are trying to bring me down in the comments. And that happens a lot, but I will go back and find those people later. The funniest thing about finding someone in the comments later and removing them from the page altogether is the follow-up email you get talking about how they supported you for so long. They were there from the beginning, and such a shame how the page is demised to this level to where now they're the one being blocked when all they've done is supported and loved. So I try to be very careful before I block and ban anybody. But sometimes I feel like going back and reading the comments, you can just see how people sometimes they look for a way to involve themselves with drama. And how many of y'all think we've come way too far to have to deal with all the drama? I know it's going to always be there. It's never going to go away completely. But it'd be so much nicer. Now, the downfall is it's hard for some people to understand how I encourage you to share your opinion. But in that, you have to also learn to share your opinion in a respectful and polite way. a respectful way, because we're all humans here and we're all struggling with life's ups and downs. And it doesn't matter where you find yourself today. Um, some of us will be having a pretty good day, and some will not. But life is going to always have that little roller coaster thing, and we got to just try to find that. Even when you're having a down moment, still try to find ways to be respectful and polite to those around you. No drama, y'all. No drama is the key. Nettie says, we're all too old for drama. We're too old for drama. That's true. Ruby's eye, we're going to have to take Ruby in on Tuesday. That appointment has been made. So the trailer's already over there. It's just a matter of getting Ruby loaded up. I will do this early Tuesday morning and have her at the vet by 8 a.m. Oh, it's an early one, y'all. But that will be Tuesday. And I don't think that Ruby has pink eye. I just think that Ruby must have got something in her eye or scratched her eye or something, because it's absolutely it's watering quite a bit. And so we will take care of her on Tuesday. I do have a spray that I'll take over today. I miss I'm a Survivor Sanctuary. Thank you for going back and doing videos for us. It's changed so much. I don't know half the animals anymore that are there. I stick with you, Jamie, Jake, and Bree. Well, ma'am, that's always your choice. We appreciate you sticking around, but you'll never get to know the animals if you don't take a chance to get to know the animals, the new animals. And so I think that what has happened with that is people get used to a particular video style. And just because Ellie and I have a different video style does not mean that Ellie's not working as hard as he can to bring you videos and to keep you entertained and educated on what's going on around the sanctuary. I do believe that most people have kind of gotten used to a goofy, I'm just going to say goofy style of video creation from me and from Jake, for sure, from Brienne, and even from Jamie. We are quite the characters when it comes to being goofy and silly and laughing at ourselves. And that's not to say that Ellie or Megan or my dad or Sister Kim or Daniel or you name it or not as good of video creators, but we have different styles. So I think that what you meant to say was you like the style, you like Ellie, or I'm sorry, you like Lester's style of video creation, not so much Ellie and Megan's style of video creation. But I will say that Ellie and Megan are bringing you daily videos. So anyone who's interested in keeping up with the sanctuary, you don't have to feel left out. There are videos being produced every single day from the sanctuary, from both of their channels. So they're doing a wonderful job at keeping everybody up to date on what's happening, when it's happening, and how it's happening. All of the relevant information is being presented. But if you choose not to watch a particular creator for various reasons, then we always ask you to find your happy place. Obviously, just find your happy place. What else is going on? I didn't really come with a whole lot. Now I have a head full of things I could talk to you about, but I feel like sometimes there may be too much of me talking and not enough of us talking. And if in fact I'm trying to get the channel to, I'm just going to say this, okay? I am trying to change the culture of the page. I know I can't change the world. I can't. You can't change the world. One man can't change the world. But what I can do is change the culture of the page. And we've talked about that on numerous occasions where my dream, my goal is that one day we can get to a place where going live is the same thing, equivalent to us going and sitting down at a restaurant or a bar or a park and just having a nice conversation. And how you have that nice conversation is by people dialoguing back and forth. And so that means you're welcome to ask questions, but we just don't want to be interrogated. We don't want to be demanded to answer certain things. So, I'm going to read this long one over here. Alice says, I agree with you, Lester. I never would watch LE's videos because they are not my thing. But now that he is a grown man and he's covering the sanctuary and doing a good job, I enjoy his videos, and Megan's too. She's very good at it. The animals gravitate to her. For me, it comes down to how much time I have available. So Lester and Jamie win. Whew. Thank you, Alice. I try to keep up with everybody. I do not miss Jake or Bree's videos either. Okay, so that's very kind, Alice. So you have your preference in the types of videos that you like to watch, and you like to be entertained as much as educated. So, funny story is I talked to a few other video creators who you all know. They're my social media friends in the business. Daniel, Dutch, and Jason. Those channels are Arms Family Homestead, Cog Hill Farm, and Keeping Up with Dutch. Now, even though we are all friends off the site, we're also creators who have very different styles. It's far and in between that you'd ever find Daniel doing a Lester type video. I think maybe one of my favorite videos of all time from Daniel was the day that he tried to do a Lester video. He did. He tried to take on a Lester personality and do a Lester video. But here's the thing. People who are familiar with Daniel Arms, they didn't appreciate Daniel being so jumpy and so loud and so giggly and so fast. And so, because those things are synonymous with me. At the same time, those who are familiar with Jason knows that he's the most articulate of all video creators. He can sit there and have a conversation with you on a video or on a live. He will laugh and he will play, and he can also teach you a lot of things you may not know. And then Dutch is kind of in the middle. He can kind of like do the goofy stuff. He can also have a whole lot of teaching in his videos. So I think there's a fine combination. I like to use the word that I did not coin this, but edutainment. I do feel like there's a lot of education as well as entertainment in a Lester video. And I know that not all creators can do that, but there have been 100 things that you guys have told me that you learned from the channel, and you also get a good laugh or a smile. But I joke that my dad, who I love as my dad, but he will not watch a Lester video for anything because he doesn't like the humor. He doesn't like the joking. My dad wants to go watch a real farm in action, meaning the ins and outs of the actual farming videos, or a hunting video, or a fishing video. He doesn't have time for the humor, the goofiness, the silliness. Oh, I like that kind of stuff, though. Let me show you real fast what I'm working on this morning. I will not play the entire video for you. But this is just an example of what I do. And I think I'm pretty good at it. I think I'm pretty good at this. And I'm only saying I'm pretty good at it because of the fact that I've been doing it for long enough, and I read enough of the comments to know that people seem to also get a kick out of it. You can laugh and you can cry, and we can go through the life's ups and downs in a humorous way. Yet, in all of that humor, farming is still happening. And that's what people sometimes don't understand, is that there's a lot of farming that goes on. Let's just say farming or ranching that goes on, even with the humor. Here it is. That's going to be called, let me put that up here for y'all real fast. Give me 1 second. I have to present that to you all. Now, I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is going to be, in fact, my video for tomorrow. Oh no, it's going to be a long one. I got to find it, y'all. Where will I find it? So I know you all can still see me, but I can't see you because I'm actually looking for something. I don't know how to find what I'm looking for. Well, guys, I may not be able to show this to you. So now you're all just saying, okay, Lester, help get back to the live. The thing is, I can't find anything anymore. Not a big deal. It was a simple video of how I was going to start my tomorrow video. I'll show you, have to show you a little bit later. Not a big deal. But no, we have fun, y'all. We have fun and we laugh and we play. And there's a lot of farming. There's a lot of ranching. Let's just say this. There's a lot of work. People don't understand that there's so much work. And if you're going to have to do the work, you might as well have fun while you do it. And I can absolutely have a good time while we work. But that thing says it's right there. I just got to see if I can find it. Normally, I like to have all this stuff pulled up ahead of time. So I'm not the best with computer stuff, in case you don't already know that. No, I'm going to only end up messing something up if I'm not careful. So let me just not worry about that. But I will say this. If you watch YouTube, I'm a Survivor Sanctuary at 4 o'clock today, you're going to get a really fun video. Tell me more about this murdered woman. So Carla asked a question that she wants me to talk about. And Carla, I will say, because I don't think everyone will even know about this, but we had a fella come to the property, Longhorn Lester's, this week, and he was going to help fix our water well. We've been having a lot of sand and silt being sucked up into our pipes, and it's coming out in the sink, in the showers, in the tub. And I'm certain even when we drink our Kool-Aid or drink whatever we're having, if there's anything in here from the faucet, then it has grit. It's going to have some grit, some silt. And we noticed there was more and more silt coming into our pipes. And so that scared us. We thought that maybe our well was going dry. So we had a guy come out, and it just so happened that guy who came out he's been in the area for his entire life. And he'd learned, as a matter of fact, his family actually owned this left side of our property for years. Now, Mr. Dubb, who's the former owner, did buy it and was here for 18 years. So I should tell you how long ago this guy's family owned this. But this guy said that over on the right side of the property, there was a murder investigation, and they actually found a young woman's body who'd been buried up here on this hill, right out there about the area where our ostriches live. You know, we have those 3 paddocks, where we keep our big birds. And he told us a story that since they were the next door neighbors at that point, there was no one living on the right side. No one even lived on the left side. It was just property that they owned. And he said that they got a phone call from the sheriff's department and asked if they knew the owners of the right side of the property. And they passed that information along. And the guy's like, can you tell me why? And the guy wouldn't talk about it. The officer would not talk about it. So a little bit later, maybe a day or so later, they noticed that the property was being searched. And they did. They found a grave, a shallow grave, where a young woman had been murdered and buried right here, right out that door, y'all, right out that door. And I didn't want to hear that. That guy could come over here and worked on our water well and then left. and never shared that, and I'd been the better for it. But he had to share that story. And so I made him show me about the area where it was buried. And supposedly, now, like I said, this was a long time ago, because Mr. Dub and Sharon lived here for 18 years. And so that was before them. So let's just say 25 years ago. Let's just say 25 years ago. So all of that's done. That's been a long time ago. But just to know that somebody at one point had murdered a woman and buried her right here. And then you take that information and you add it to the fact that Jamie and I have always felt a strange presence. There's something a little bit spooky about this side of the property. I'm talking about the right side. I hear by the raised bed garden. We've never had any issues at all on the left side, but there have been so many things that have gone wrong over on the right side. You have Sadie and her insistent barking all day and all night. You have the tree limb that fell and almost killed Jamie. Jamie had that game camera set up to video her giving water to all the animals who lived in the woods here, the wildlife. And she used to enjoy video all those animals that would come up at night to drink from that water. Oh my gosh, the fire. We had the fire. Oh Lord. We had the little mini truck that come on by itself and shot off down the hill and crashed into our fence and our gate over here. Well, that's where we had the attack from Carl that could have killed me. It didn't, thank God, but that happened. And then even before Miss Sharon and Mr. Dub moved out of here, let's not forget all of those tiny cherubs they had, cherubs that Miss Sharon had put around the base of all of these trees up on this hill. You had the garage door that would open and close without anyone being anywhere near the remote. And so I'm like, okay, hold on. I mean, coincidence, just coincidence. And so what do they say? That if it happens once, it's just an occurrence. Happens twice, okay, might be a coincidence. Happens 3 times, it's a pattern. And so how scary is it to know that we've had multiple situations over here on this side of the property? And we always thought it was just from coincidence. Well, maybe it is just coincidence, or maybe there's something more to it. And guys, I'm not going to come over here and talk to y'all about ghosts and boogeyman and Bigfoot and all of that, because I can't say, oh, Mr. Huck. Yes, Mr. Huck was also, that was also the side of the property with the Mr. Huck. That's also the side of the property where it wasn't me. I never saw it, but the lady, the sweet lady who used to always message the page, would always tell us that she could see spirits in my videos. She could see spirits. Now, guys, I don't get me to saying things that I don't know anything about. I don't know, y'all. But someone says y'all need to have a cleansing. I'm not going to be around for that day. If someone wants to come cleanse it, then by all means, come on and cleanse it. But I'm not going to be around that day. I do not mess with ghosts, okay? I do not mess. Oh my gosh, all of the Civil War artifacts. We found a cannonball down and over the next ridge, and we found the bayonet right here in Carl's pasture. If you add all of those things up, don't tell me that if it happened on your property, you wouldn't also be a little bit spooked. The decapitated coyote. Guys, don't. So if you, Just chat away to them and tell them all to go and be at peace. Pam, easier said than done. You come over here, walk around out that. You walk around there and say, you guys just go ahead and go in peace. Y'all just go in peace, go in peace. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to just try to not think about it. Someone is screaming by Felicia. I wonder who the Felicia is. Jamie also found a boot out in the woods, an old boot. What if the old boot belonged to the lady? Can a boot last that many years out in the woods? Yeah, so bottom line is you just take all of those different coincidences. Why would Miss Sharon have put cherubs under all of them trees? Why would she have done that? Seriously, think about that for a minute. Why would Miss Sharon, who is a very sweet lady, she's probably in her 60s, why would she have gone out there and went to the store and bought or ordered all of those cherubs? And they were all in the little form of angels or children. And why would she have put them under all of those trees? And guys, you remember how many there were. There were, I'm just going to guess and say probably 25 or more cherubs under those trees. Y'all do know that, right? So I don't know. A lot of people are saying you should have someone come over and bless it or something. I don't know. Don't y'all think that might make things worse if the spirit is in fact stronger than the person who's over here trying to toss around some holy water or something? Because even though I think there's a very powerful higher power, I don't know if the guy who's going to come over here, who's going to sprinkle some holy water, is that powerful at all. So I don't know what to do, but hey, you asked and I'm just sharing some information with you. Like I said, I don't like to buy into all that. It would have to be a priest. Oh, it would have to be a priest. Linda, no offense, but don't even think that all priests are. Linda, trust me, we're going to have to be very selective in if we ever ask a priest or a pastor or an Indian, a Native American shaman to come over here, we're going to have to remind him, you better be real sure about your connection with the higher powers. Don't come over here putting on no show just to put on a show, because you're going to be sorry. My spirit, hold on, the spirit in my will sing so pretty, but occasionally it will smoke cigarettes. My husband and I don't smoke, so it's a very distinct smell that I hate. I tell it to stop, and it will. So hold on a minute. Ma'am, you're telling me that you and your husband are like hanging around, sitting around, and y'all smell cigarette smoke. And you don't get up and run. Instead, you say, hey, Casper, don't be smoking in the house. And he stops. He or she stops smoking. The dark is never stronger than the light. Carla, what if the light is fake and the dark is not? I'm just saying, I've seen some fake light in my days. If you know what I mean, I've seen some fake light, y'all. Respect for that lost soul is best. And Tamara, how do I do that? Just leave it alone? Just let it go? I didn't bring the guy over here to show me where it was at. I didn't go over there doing some kind of a seance. I'm not over here playing with the Ouija board. I'm not doing any of that stuff. What about the pond? So our pond leaks, but that could be just mechanical errors on the drivers of the equipment. not so much a little ghost getting in there and siphoning the water out. I don't know. So, bottom line is this: I'm fine. Jamie's fine. Lex and Connor come here every other weekend or so, and they camp out right there in the RV. They've never had a problem. Yeah, we have a lot of ants eating everything up, but I don't think ants are of the devil. I don't think the ants are here because the spirit sent them.
Those ants are the devil.
Jamie says the
Fire
ants.
and stinging grass and whatever those.
So Jamie says fire ants and stinging grass are of the devil. So I don't know. Oh Lord, friends, I don't know what to tell you. I'm reading comments. I had to pop out for a minute. Did y'all talk about Ruby's eye? So I'll do that right now. Ruby has to have a vet appointment. I have that scheduled for next Tuesday, and we will find out exactly what's wrong with Ruby's eye. Hopefully, the vet will be able to take a sample and go, I guess, look at it on a microscope or do whatever they do to determine if it is in fact pink eye. But I'm guessing it's probably not. At this point, I think that our over-the-counter pink eye meds would have worked better if it were pink eye. I'm thinking that it's something that you can't buy over the counter. I think that she must have scratched something in her eye, and that's why it's watering so much. So I don't know that for a fact, but we'll learn more from our vet visit. And if you're wondering why we are doing the vet visit on Tuesday and not right now, it's because the vet that we're going to have to use, who is a local vet, they have two doctors on Tuesdays. They have an inside doctor who's their normal vet, and they have a traveling outside doctor vet who does all of the larger animals from the trailers. So every customer who has a large animal, who if it's not an emergency, they schedule you for Tuesday so that they can see that animal out in the trailer. And then if they have to find you a room or a stall, then they'll do that. But I'm hoping that the vet can see her and take care of that, because I hate seeing that little baby sitting there looking so miserable with her eye just watering and watering. I told Jamie I think I should put the patch back on, because I think that the light is affecting it, making it water even more. And so I think that with the patch being on there, she is able to be more relaxed. The reason I say that is because I've seen her for the last, I see her every single day, but the days when she's wearing the patch, she's a whole lot more friendly. The days that she has the patch off, she lays with her head down, and she doesn't want that eye exposed to the light. So I'm probably going to put a patch back on her today and let her wear that the rest of the weekend. And then I think that on Tuesday, I'll pull that patch off when we get to the vet. The vet might be able to work around the patch. I don't know, but I think that will make her a lot more comfortable. And that's my goal right now, is to just keep her comforted. Poor baby. I will say that you hate to see anything happen to any of your animals, but if we had to have an animal that has a situation, I'm happier that it's Ruby, because I can load her and work with her a lot easier. So as far as Gary goes, we're going to take some spray over when I leave here momentarily. I'll head over with the girls and I will spray Gary, and hopefully we can treat whatever's going on with him. You all remember that we thought we may have had a lice or a mite issue with a couple of our cows. And we treated them while they were in the trailer, and they're fine. Cinderella says, Lester, after a lot of watching near-death experiences for a while, what I've learned that there is a veil between this life and the afterlife. Some souls just get lost and stay here too long. Cinderella, are you trying to make me feel any better to know that there's a lost soul here that's taking its sweet time traveling on to the afterlife? That doesn't make me feel any better at all. CJ's Way says, I accidentally unraveled the top layer of my eyeball, and it was running just like Ruby's, so like watering a lot. I had to wear a patch and have a little piece cut out or cut off of the top layer. Wow. There he goes. What happened to the alligator, Cindy? As of now, nothing. The alligator is still there, and we're going to try to figure out a way to get the alligator out of our pond. But like I was saying in my video, I worry more about the dogs getting into the water with the alligator. I'm not so concerned about the longhorns. I do not think that an alligator is going to swim up and even attempt to snatch a longhorn. I don't foresee them doing that. So lots of questions about the alligator, and you can just call your Texas game warden about your alligator. And we may end up having to go that route. There's a lot of neat questions coming up. Now, they're all over the place. I'm just giggling at the person who says, just leave the spirit alone. Okay, I've never messed with the spirit. I have never messed with the spirit, and I have no desire to mess with a spirit, okay? I don't even know if I believe in spirits, y'all. And until I moved here, I would have never, ever, ever even given this a second thought about the spirit. But now that so many things have happened, and we have this guy who just, listen, this guy had no reason to tell us that. He had no reason. He has no idea all that's gone on here. And just in casual conversation, after he'd already did all the well, he's getting ready to leave. I'd already paid him. He was talking about some things that he remembers from the property, and that was one of those things he wanted to tell me about. Lester, look behind you. Kathy, seriously? Kathy, that's not funny. We have tons of alligators here in Florida. They prefer to grab the quick, easy meals like a dog, not so much a cow. I would catch it and make a good meal out of it. Oh, okay. So I'll tell you what, if we do end up having to go that route, I don't know if it's legal or not. According to the Bible, when people die, they are at rest, not roaming the earth. Only the Almighty Jesus was able to bring the dead back to life. Okay. So there are things going on all over the place. Okay. Melanie is referring to something that Paul Hutchinson said. The mirror isn't facing any doors or windows, and he doesn't bother me. I can ask him to leave, and he does go. I have family members that come out of the mirror too. My great grandfather comes and visits me. Miss Melanie, you're a lot braver than I am. If anyone ever comes out of a mirror, I can promise you, I'm gone. I am out. I will not even take time to grab the animals. I'll just say, the girls will go to the truck and jump in, and only the girls that can jump are going. I'm not even going to take time to grab Stella. I'm sorry. Stella will have to stay here with the spirits in the mirror. I'm just saying. I don't mean to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude. But if I'm sitting over here and I see something come out of the mirror, I'm running. I will run barefoot. I don't know what I'll grab on my way out, but I'm not going to slow down and grab Stella. Come on, Stella. Come on, sweetie. Let's go. No, I might have time for all that. I'm out. Poor Stella. Yeah, poor Stella is right. Trixie, Christmas, and even Ritzy can jump up on their own. Now, Sadie will not be here. Sadie's going to be off in the woods barking, so I'm not worried about Sadie. She'll be fine wherever she's barking at. Millie and Fiona, that's questionable, but it's going to be poor Stella who's going to be left behind. Now, Stella can't hear a darn thing anyway. Stella will have no idea what's going on. I don't even know if Stella can see very well. So Stella may end up living here with the ghost, and she'll think it's me the whole time. She'll probably like me thinking it's me. But no, Lord forbid, lady, there's a ghost that comes out of your window or your mirrors. And so now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm even scared to go look in the mirror. I don't even want to look in the mirror. It reminds me of a game, a scary story that I always told my students back when I taught school about the Bloody Mary. And so the story would go, it was a real fun story, but here's what I would always tell them. And I would tell them this story so that they would not want to sneak off and play in the bathrooms. But I would always, around the first of the school year, I would talk about why it's important that they always go with a friend to the bathroom. They never go alone to the bathroom. Now, in reality, at middle school, you want your students going in with the partner anyway, because, well, I'm just going to say that I worked at a school that was not very nice, and there were a lot of kids that were bad. I hate to say that they were bad, but they were into things they should not have been into. And so we would encourage our kids to always travel in teams, in pairs. And so if a young lady or a young man had to go to the restroom, I would ask them to take somebody with them. Now, you obviously know that who you can trust and who you can't trust. And so the reason that I told them that is I lied, and we had this, I talked about Bloody Mary and how she would come out of the mirror. And so I would tell them, I'm like, listen, whatever you do, when you go to the bathroom, even if you look in the mirror to use it, do not say the words Bloody Mary, and don't even think it. Even if you think it 7 times, Bloody Mary will come out and grab you. And so, of course, at that point, I would tell them a story about former students of mine who did go into the bathroom, and they were going to test to see if that theory was true. And so they went to the bathroom, they got in front of the mirror, they turned off the lights, they took time to say Bloody Mary 7 times. And I says, these kids were laughing and giggling when they came back because nothing happened. And they thought that this whole thing about Bloody Mary was true, or was fabricated. I says, but what these kids did not understand is that Bloody Mary may not come right when you call her. She'll come when she's ready. And so I told them, this is the story, that once these students, school was over and they went back to their own homes, and I talked about how that at some point they went to the bathroom to do their shower and their nighttime routine, and that's when Bloody Mary did come to visit them. So now, and of course, I elaborated, and I had this great scary story about what happened and all this kind of stuff, but I'm not going to bore you with those details right now. Bottom line is, these kids were all scared to even go home. They were scared to look in the mirror. I had so many kids telling me that they don't look in the mirror. They're scared to look in the mirror because they're afraid that their mind's going to say it without them wanting to say it. And that does happen sometimes, y'all. That does happen. You don't want your mind to say stuff, but even your mind can't help but say it. And I'm like, listen to me, spirits don't have to actually hear you. Spirits know what you're thinking. So I used to scare these kids a lot. It was fun. I never, in all of my 25 years, I never got in trouble for telling kids scary stories. I never did. I've always made sure that I told stories that were kid friendly, but also spooky. I never had a parent complain because their kids were scared. The only time I ever got in trouble at school, and out of 25 years of teaching, I only got one write-up. You're going to never guess what this was for. I may have told this story before. I don't know that for a fact, but in all of my 25 years of teaching, I only had one write-up, and it was for the most ridiculous thing ever. Y'all want to hear this story? So I had a student in my class. This was an 8th grader. Now, y'all, an 8th grade student is already 12, 13 years old, teenager, right? They're about to start high school. And This kid, a young man, was very, very, I'm just going to use the word whiny. He was a whiny little kid. He tattletaled a lot. And normally, by the time you're in the 8th grade, you're not really a tattletale anymore. You may not be the most popular kid in the class. You may not be, but you don't really tattletale. And so this kid was always upset about something. He'd sit in his desk and he'd be over there and he could just pout, and he'd be so upset about something that someone told him or what someone did or something. So one day I noticed he was sitting there pouting, and I asked him what was wrong. He told me some kind of silly reason. To me, it was silly. To him, it must have been a big deal. And I says, I'm going to create a name. I don't even know the kid's name. I'm going to just create a name. And I said, Jose, stop being such a mama's boy. Stop being such a mama's boy. Okay. I didn't mean it in a bad way. I didn't call him any derogatory word. I didn't laugh at him. I just simply said, Jose, stop being a mama's boy, please. Grow up. You're almost in high school. Stop being a mama's boy. Stop pouting and tattletelling. Stop being a mama's boy. Now, a lot of you moms may already know the mistake that I made. A lot of you moms know exactly the mistake that I made. The fact that I called this little kid a mama's boy when in fact he was the world's #1 mama's boy. But you can't say that. He went home and very upset, and he told his mom that his teacher called him a mama's boy and it embarrassed him. So the next day when I get to work, at some point the intercom announcement comes on, and it was my boss, and she wanted me to come to the office. She was going to send a paraprofessional to watch my class so I could walk down to the office and meet with her. And I'm thinking, okay, that was kind of weird, but whatever. So a few minutes later, the paraprofessional walked in. I go down to the office, and when I walk in, I notice that there's Jose, and there's his mom, who was, I'm guessing, his mom, and there's my boss behind her desk, and there's a chair for me to sit in. And so I sit down. I will say, hi, Jose. And I sat down, and immediately I begin to realize what all this is about. I still did not think it was because of the comment, mama's boy. I thought his mom was upset because I could not figure out why he was upset, why I didn't help her kid, whatever. And as I sat down, my boss says that, Mr. Morrow, Jose went home from school upset because you embarrassed him in front of his classmates by calling him a mama's boy. And I thought it was a joke, y'all. I still at that point, I'm thinking, what kind of a joke is this? You don't get in trouble for telling a kid stop being a mama's boy. You don't tell a kid don't be a butthole or don't be a jerk or don't be, there's a lot of things that you don't want to tell a kid. But I did not realize that mama's boy was that big of a deal. I didn't call him a sissy or a wuss. I called him a mama's boy. Now Lester, you're a monster. No, I'm not a monster, y'all. I'm just Lester. Come on. But I called him a mama's boy, and it upset him. So he goes home to his mama, and he tells her that I called him a mama's boy. So now, not only was he upset, but now the fact that his mom got brought into all of this. It would have been easier if I would have said, Jose, stop being a little jerk. Jose, stop being a punk. Jose, stop being this. But because I said mama's boy, now all of a sudden, mama's been brought into this. So now mama is not only defending her son, but defending herself. How dare he call you a mama's boy? You're a very, very, just come on, Jose. And so she snatched him up and took him to school and sat there in front of my boss and told my boss what a horrible man I am for embarrassing her son. So it's okay. I get it. I'm sitting there and I'm being professional. And I'm like, yes, ma'am, I did tell him that. And then at some point when it was my turn to talk, I turned around and I'm facing Jose and his mom. And I says, ma'am, I says, I've been teaching school for a very long time. I says, I love what I do. I said, I'm a good teacher. I says, my kids, I think my kids love me. I says, we have great relationships and we never have problems. I never have discipline issues. And I said, yesterday when I came into the classroom and I saw Jose was upset, and then when I heard what he was upset about, I thought it was just kind of, I didn't think it was a big deal for him to be so upset. So I did say, Jose, stop being a mama's boy. I says, ma'am, I did not mean it derogatory. I says, Jose, you know me. You know me very well, sir. You know that I'm not a bad guy like that. I'm not trying to hurt you or embarrass you. And I says, Jose, I want to apologize. And I turned and I extended my hand to him. And he's like, his hands dropped to his lap. And he made that same noise. And then his mom says, are you not willing to accept Mr. Marr's apology? And she said, okay. And so my boss asked me to leave the room. And so I got up and I walked out of the room. And I'm like, my boss will take care of her. She'll take care of all of this. This is all fine. However, once school was over that day, and I got, where did that go? Once school was over that day, I got called back to the office. And my boss says, Mr. Morrow, or she called me Lester. She goes, Lester, have a seat. And I'm like, could you believe all of that? And she goes, hold on. She goes, let's take care of the technicalities first. And she said that I'm going to have to document this. And I'm like, you're going to write me up? And she goes, we're going to document that we had this conversation. And I'm going to document that the student was upset because you referred to him as a mama's boy, which embarrassed him. And and she pretty much had this write-up this long, not telling me what a horrible teacher I am, but just pretty much outlining the facts as she knows them, the facts that I admitted to. And it was all there that I apologized and that I extended my hand to get past this. Do you know that after I signed the write-up, because she says, by signing this does not show that you're not saying that you're guilty, but that we address the issue and that you're not going to, refer your students in any way that can make them feel lesser. And so fine, I signed it. I wasn't happy about it, but I signed it. And she says it's going to be on your files for 3 years. And at 3 years, it will be discarded. It'll go away. So just, she goes, you're a great teacher. And she goes, I know how much you love your students and blah, blah, blah. She says, but Jose's mom also requested that he be moved out of your classroom. And I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute. Kids love to be in my classroom. Kids love me as a teacher. He wants to be moved out of my class. And so that hurt me more than anything else, that he wanted to be moved out of my class. And so Dr. Sanford had taken care of all of that already. Jose was now assigned to a new classroom. I would never see him again, really. But that was my write-up. And so once I'd signed everything and it was all put into my file, this is why I love my boss the most. She goes, can we talk now between you and I? And I'm like, yes, ma'am. And she says, listen, she goes, Jose is a mama's boy. Just like Tammy says, he's definitely a mama's boy. My boss says Jose is a mama's boy. She goes, in the way that we see things, she goes, Jose absolutely is a mama's boy. She goes, but we just can't say that. We can think it. We could, and there's students in your classroom who you think things about, but we just don't say it. And I'm like, Dr. Sanford, I didn't say it like in a derogatory way. I didn't mean it in a mean way. Wasn't. And she goes, it's okay. She goes, I'm not upset with you. She goes, but just know that Jose will struggle tremendously in the next several years of school because of his being a mama's boy. And so I never saw Jose again. They moved him into a different classroom where he found a different hallway but I tell you what, that never left me. The fact that I called a student a mama's boy and got my only write-up of my entire 25-year career. A lot of men in education can get written up for a lot of things. It's very, very risky to be a man working around middle school and high school students with you guys, you already know the things you could be accused of and things that they could say about you, true or not true. And I'd always stayed so clean around school and never allowed anything negative to be said about me to where it would become an administrative type thing. And by me telling that kid in a joking way, I kid you not, I was joking. I said, stop being a mama's boy. That was the thing that got me my very first write-up and my only write-up in all of those years. So, how funny, huh? But, that's the problem. I really do. I sometimes wonder, where is Jose at today? And what kind of things is he struggling with because he was allowed to be a mama's boy? I will share one more story and then I will let you go because I am excited about getting over to the J&L. I'm going to also use the name Jose, but this time the little boy's name really was Jose. This is a story that goes back to when I taught third grade. Yes, Lester taught third grade. These are kids who are 8 and 9 years old. And when I taught third grade, there was a little heavyset kid who, I'm just going to say this, and it's not going to come out right, but I don't mean it in a mean, derogatory way, but he was not very well off. You could tell his family struggled, and you could see that in his physical appearance, as far as holes in his clothes, not the designer holes, but just real holes in his shoes, in the lack of shoestrings. And so I felt sorry for the kid. I did. And he might have been the only kid in the class who was really struggling financially back at home. And it was obvious. And other kids could pick up on that as well. And the other kids would make fun of him. So, as a teacher and as the leader of your classroom, I would never wanted to have my kids pick on each other. And I would try to find ways to make these kids stop picking on each other. But I noticed that Jose was always the kid who was left out of the groups. No one ever wanted to team up with him. When we went outside to play recess, because in third grade, we still had recess, no one would play with him. He'd get a soccer ball or some kind of a basketball and walk off on his own. And no one would give him a break. And I know why, because a little bit heavy set kid, dirty kid, his clothes were, raggedy. And I just felt my heart broke for him. So one day I did something that was probably unprecedented. And while my kids were all gone to lunch or recess or PE or somewhere, I took a piece of notebook paper and I wrote a love letter to Jose, but I didn't sign it. I put anonymous or secret admirer. And I put simple stuff like, Jose, I just want you to know that I think that one day you're going to grow up and be a bodyguard or a football player because you're so strong. I never said because you're fat or because you're overweight. I avoided that. I just said you're going to grow up, become a football player or a bodyguard because you're so strong. I like your curly hair. And I wrote this letter like it was coming from a young lady. And I made sure that I wrote it in a sloppy handwriting, where no one would know it was from a teacher. And at some point, I took that letter and I dropped it very strategically where it would be found. And so sure enough, whenever the kids all came back into the classroom and someone found that love letter, I made sure that I noticed that letter being passed around. And so I'm like, oh, what do you got there? What is that? And so then I turned on my teacher role, right? I picked up my teacher role. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What do y'all pass? Bring me that note. And so I took that note and I got in front of the class. I'm like, who wrote this? What is all this? And I'm like, dear Jose, you got a girlfriend? He's like, little curly haired kid, all dirty, holes in his clothes. I'm like, who wrote you this note? He's like, and so I read it. I'm like, Jose, I think that when you grow up, you're going to be a football player or a bodyguard because you're so strong. And I'm reading this note out loud. And all these kids in the classroom are all like, they're all wondering who in the heck wrote this note to Jose. Jose's the kid that no one talks to. Who wrote him a love letter? And I went on and I read that note. And next thing you know, everyone's like looking at Jose like differently, like this, he might be a football player. He might be a bodyguard. Now, what everyone thought was like he's overweight, he's out of shape, you know. Now they thought, oh, he's not out of shape. He's football player strong. He's not out of shape. He's going to be a bodyguard. Guys, I kid you not. I kid you not. Jose ended up going on to becoming one of the most popular kids in the entire school that year. Now, this is where I'm going to start crying because this is going to get to me. I remember this. Remember how I told you all that was in third grade? Okay, so I know for a fact that for the rest of that school year, Jose was on top of the world. When those kids left me, they went to fourth grade and fifth grade, which was a different campus. I never saw Jose during those 2 years. And then they go to middle school, which is sixth grade, seventh grade, and finally eighth grade. Now that's 5 years later. And at our school, which was an elementary school, went up to third grade, we had this thing at the end of the school year where the eighth graders would come and put on a performance. They would perform for our elementary kids. And so little did I remember that Jose was one of those students. I'd forgotten. Yeah, you know, the kids move on, get a new class every year, you know. And I'm sitting there with my third graders in the audience, in the auditorium, and I see all of these middle school eighth graders getting off the bus, and they're walking onto the stage. And at some point, I recognized this heavy set, curly haired, dirty, holes in his clothes, this kid. It was Jose. And at this point, he was a member of the football team, and he also played in the band. I'm going to cry. Because not only did he do and participate in those two events, but he was surrounded by people. He was surrounded by other kids. They didn't care. They did not care that his clothes had holes, that his shoes have floppy bottoms. They didn't care that he was overweight, that his hair was not clean and it was ungroomed and just hung on his head. All that was gone. All they cared about was that Jose was in third grade, I guess the most popular kid that some girl just loved. And they were pointed out to the fact that he's going to be something special. And so guess what? Jose did become something special. He was a very popular kid during that eighth grade year. And I bet you, I don't know what happened his fourth grade or his fifth grade year, but I bet you he was the king of that school, whether it be at middle school or intermediate level school. I don't know. And I bet you through sixth grade and seventh grade, I bet you he was something special. I bet you he had a ton of girlfriends, y'all. I bet you he had so many girlfriends. And I'm going to say this, and I don't know if it's for a fact, but I feel like he got a shot at life, a shot in the dark from that mysterious and anonymous letter that somebody wrote and dropped on the floor in a third grade classroom. And it changed his stars. His entire direction in life was completely rewritten. And no longer was Jose the kid who was laughed at and picked on, who would have become a dropout, y'all. He would have become a dropout. He would have. Instead, I imagine he went on to have just a successful high school years. And I don't know if he's ever become a bodyguard now or even a football player. But I'll tell you what he did do. He would go to bed happy at night. He would wake up refreshed and excited and energized about going to school, where at school he was somebody. He was somebody. Oh, one day I'm going to share with you all a video about Jose, because I have old videos of my class that year. I see them all the time. And the video that I have of Jose and that school year, it was video taken after the letter. And I still have these old videos on my, I have a, this is what they call a hard drive. I know it's old fashioned, but I have thousands of my videos from my old school days on that hard drive. And I'm going to find that video and play it for y'all one day and let you all see Jose. And just a beautiful story, one of maybe a highlight of my teaching career. And remember that this highlight has nothing to do with any awards or accolades or salary or a raise or a bonus or employee of the month, nothing. This success story, this is what made, well, it's making me emotional today to remember about this is, I think, what every teacher wants to do is make a difference in somebody's life. And I do feel like I made a difference in that little guy's life. I couldn't help the other guy, the mama's boy. I did not make a difference in his life. That would be a fail on my part. But the success that Jose was able to find, oh, somebody knows about this. MC and PC knows about the egg drop video. So that kid's name was Edgar. And y'all don't want to hear that story, do you? Y'all want to hear the story of Edgar? I don't mean to keep you so long, guys. It's already been an hour and a half. I'm going to be in so much trouble by going live for so darn long. But an hour and a half we've been on this live. I do have another story that I will share with you. But what I'm going to do is this. If you don't mind, I'm going to hold off on the next story. And I will find that video and pull it up. And next time we all meet, next time we all come together, like a live, I'm going to absolutely share the egg drop video, the story of Edgar. And it'll be another moment like this. It'll be another moment like this where you watch a little boy's life change for the better. So, well, hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. It's going to be I have a busy afternoon. I want to get over to the J and L, and I'll probably go live over there as well. If you want to stick around for later and catch me when I go live at the J and L. Thank y'all for listening and for being a really nice friend to let me just talk today a little bit. This is what I love the most, is just being able to talk and share. I've said it before, but the life of a video creator is so boring. I don't have anyone to talk to besides a bunch of animals. Now, even though a lot of them will talk back, not many of them do. Not many of them will talk back to me. So thank you all for giving me a chance to talk and be able to as I'm reading, I know that you're talking back with me in your own way. And I appreciate the dialogue. Thank you for not being too mean today. I am sure there was some, I saw a few by Felicia's, but I tried not to focus on that. And then one person says, can I still see the rest of your video with the donkey? See how Ellie did? I'll play that for you. Absolutely. But friends, I'm going to let this play out for those who have to go. I know you're busy. You got to get back to work and stuff. I will see you in a couple of hours over at the J&L Ranch if you want to join me over there. And we'll doctor up Gary. We'll have a look at Ruby's eye, and we'll do all of that kind of good stuff over there. All right. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for accepting me. Thank you for being who you are. And just know that none of this would have been possible without each and every one of you guys. All right. We love you. So check this out, folks. I just challenged Ellie to a little bit. Each of us can have these donkeys. All right. So listen. It would be a 1-minute timer. So I will. And how about that? I tried. Now I'm having internet issues. All right. Thank y'all for watching. We'll catch you guys a little bit later. Have a great day, friends.